Today's webinar is truly global. We are joined by a presenter in Seattle, then 3,000 miles down US Route 90. Your MC, myself, is here in Boston. And then overseas, we have our additional presenter, John Beckett. Melissa Burdick is joining us from Seattle. She's the president and co-founder of PackView, a premier growth automation software tool provider that accelerates advertising sales and maximizes ROI for brands and sellers on Amazon. Melissa is a former 10-year Amazon veteran, having helped launch the CPG, retail, and advertising businesses on Amazon. Today, she will be speaking on what's new in the ever-changing world of Amazon advertising and some things to think about as brands prepare for the Q4 marketing strategies. John Beckett is joining us from Dublin, Ireland. He's a co-founder and CEO of ChannelSite, which is the world's leading provider of where-to-buy technology. Founded in 2013, ChannelSite is on a mission to make the world instantly shoppable, and just some of its clients include PepsiCo, Mondelez International, Buffet Van Meal, Sony, and Logitech. He will be covering product detail page best practices to help create some conversion for all that traffic you'll be driving to your Amazon product detail pages with your advertising campaigns. Melissa, over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. Just want to make sure that I have control. Awesome. So today I'm going to talk about winning Amazon advertising tactics and a little bit about PackView just before I get started. We are a new company this year. We focus on three areas. First and foremost, we're a tech platform, creating automation software for advertising and sales efficiency on Amazon, and we license our technology to brands and agencies. We also run a consultancy and advisory. We're a team of experts, and we help them with their sales growth and acceleration in e-commerce. And then lastly, we do perform services based on the needs of our clients. So if a client wants us to execute strategies, we are able to do that as well. So just to level set on the different marketing levers on Amazon, as a little bit of a review, we're going to focus on advertising, but there's essentially kind of three different marketing levers with different pricing models. Merchandising, which is typically a flat fee model that you do through retail. We're going to focus less on today, but this is deals, coupons, the Vine customer review program, being able to get access to Amazon's reviewers. This is all through merchandising and retail. Amazon advertising, which is something new, is the new terminology. That covers the search and display marketplaces. And so search is a cost per click model. There are various placements ever growing throughout the Amazon site. And then display is a CPM model, which goes across desktop, mobile, TV, even custom boxes that you can wrap with your branding. And then Amazon stores. These are all fitting within the Amazon advertising kind of bucket. So let's talk about what is new in the Amazon world of advertising. First and foremost, it's the terminology. So for all of you that now remember the terms AMG, AMS, and AAP and just learned them, you can throw those all out the window because the new term is Amazon advertising. So that if you want to look smart, that is the new terminology. Headline search ads. And I will try my best to continue to use the right terminology, but sometimes I do slip. That is now called sponsored brand ads. And then AAP, which is Amazon's programmatic access to the display exchange, is now called DSP. So that is your new terminology to remember. Next, more placements and more testing. So Amazon continues to roll out more and more placements within Amazon associated with both of these, actually, both display and search products. So sponsored brand ads, the former headline search ads, used to be right under the toolbar. Now they've expanded those placements to the left side and bottom of desktop and also through the mobile app. There's a new report within the marketing portal, which allows you to look at top of search versus all other placement results. It's not super actionable because you can't bid that way, but you do get some extra data as well that comes along with these different placements. And then I do have this picture down here was a kind of a Kellogg's in-play video within the search results. That was a test that Amazon ran, and the point is they are just continuing to test a bunch of new placements. Video is particularly of interest, new products that they launch. So we'll look to see more and more of these opportunities. I've only seen it once, so maybe it's something that's under development to be able to scale out more broadly to users. So the big news for the software geeks here at Packview is that Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you celebrate came early. And in that the Amazon Advertising API, so that's the ability to get programmatic access to data that has enabled us to create tools and automation. They just launched a new update on October 5th. And I thought I would just take you through a quick kind of history of why there's more tools in the marketplace. And the reason why is because Amazon launched an API. They made it available in advertising around the summer of 2017, so a little bit over a year ago, and that's really why we created our company, was because we finally had access to tools to be able to create this functionality. And so essentially, the V1 version came out in the summer of 2017. It had a little bit limited functionality because you had overall reporting functionality, but you could not make updates to the sponsored brand ads. That was the big gap. We created Packview officially in January, rolled that out, and now we have hundreds of brands using our platform. And now October 5th is really a big date for us because this new version of the API enables push and pull of both the sponsored product ads and sponsored brand ads. And so what that basically means is there's little reason, if any, to go to the Amazon UI. You can do all your work in tools like ours, and makes it a lot more efficient for users. The one gap that still exists is product display ads, which is the ad right below the buy box on Amazon, but it is rumored that will be moving to a DSP placement anyway. That still is API. But as of the end of this week, we will have full integration of the API, and really good news for heading into these important key holidays. The other big news is around brand stores. So brand stores, a lot of brands are creating. It's a way to have a great curated experience on Amazon. It's free. The problem is that you have to drive traffic to it. So what's new is that Amazon has added a lot of additional data points that you can get for your brand stores. There are more widgets to feature deals and the ability to create subpages, which you can use to curate holiday-specific products. But as you all are planning external traffic drivers to your brand store, one of the things that you should definitely consider is the ability to create a source tag. So that way you can track specifically those external traffic drivers and break it out from the traffic coming from sponsored brand ads, from within Amazon, and from all these different places. So you can measure the effectiveness of these things. And next, we're going to talk a little bit about advertising strategies. So first, these may be kind of the duh things, but you want to make sure that you're selecting the right ASINs for paid search. So making sure that they have 4 stars, good content, and then yes, being profitable. Amazon will suppress unprofitable items from being available, so it's not even an option, but it's definitely good to plan and understand for that. The next thing is to make sure that it's a relevant ASIN. Sometimes people will just stick holiday keywords into their campaigns that are not relevant. So in this case, if you're Reese's and it's Halloween time, you can see that they've added the word Halloween candy into their title. So when they're bidding on the word Halloween candy, it's much more relevant to them. So that is another kind of key principle during this time frame. The other is making sure that you're balancing your paid search strategies with what you have with a promotion. So you can see that there's a little badge that pops up within the results when you run an ad, and that helps with conversion. During Prime Day, they had a special blue badge. I assume that they'll kind of have the same treatment for holiday deals as well. So make sure that you're aligning what deals you have and making sure that they're going to be promoted within your paid search campaigns. And then lastly are your heroes. So one of the mistakes that we see people make is they stick all their ASINs into a campaign. So you want to make sure that you're selecting your hero ASINs because they'll be the most relevant and have the best conversion and return for you. Now, conversely, that being said, you probably have strategies around wanting to drive traffic to new items during the holidays. That makes total sense. But just keep that in mind that you'll have less ROI for those specific new items. Other strategies that people employ during the holidays is they create new items, exclusive items for Amazon, and soft bundles. So these are great things to do. We saw a lot of this for Prime Day. One of the things with exclusives, so you get an Amazon exclusive in the title. The other thing is that these are brand new items, and you have to drive and juice the flywheel. So you make sure that right now, you're driving reviews, you're making sure the products are in inventory, you're really creating great content. As you can see, this one has a Vine customer review because they're trying to get more reviews as quickly as possible. So as you're creating exclusives, which help with the race down to the bottom and price matching across the internet, so having unique products for the Amazon channel is a great idea, but just for that strategy, make sure you have it end to end with a great traffic plan. Soft bundles, also, we saw a lot of these more during Prime Day as well, where essentially it's a virtual soft bundle. So you stick a couple ASINs together and it becomes a soft bundle of products together. The big challenge and kind of a technical glitch with Amazon is that these actually can't be put in sponsored product ads. So just keep that in mind that there is just a glitch to be able to promote those ASINs through that specific ad type. Sorry, this is a little touchy on the mouse. The other thing too that's very important, if you haven't done an analysis of Prime Day, make sure that you have done a historical analysis of what happened. And even before that, make sure that you're storing your data. So if you have a third party sending you scorecards or sending you reporting, Amazon only stores 60 days of data. So make sure that you're downloading all your data into a database so that you can keep this historical data and be able to analyze it and do some year-over-year comps. Things that you can be looking at for Prime Day, or how high did CPCs get? Who are your biggest competitors? What did daily spends get to? This is an early indication of what's going to happen during holiday, and you should be leveraging this data for Q4, and then make sure that you have a plan of what you're going to track during this time frame. So we did an analysis across a lot of the data that we have, and we saw it for Prime Day. There was a 43% increase on the Monday, Tuesday of Prime Day versus the Monday, Tuesday prior in CPCs. So having access to your specific data is going to be really helpful in helping to inform your budget and kind of setting expectations. Speaking of budgets and planning, so make sure you're planning for a bell curve before the Black Holiday, Cyber Monday start. 2 weeks before, you want to start kind of increasing your bids 5 to 10%. Plan for a peak during Black Friday and Cyber Monday of anywhere from 150 to 300% above normal levels. And then after the holidays, you can expect make sure that you're pulling back your budgets. That is also sometimes a common mistake, is that people don't adjust their bids after the holidays and they wind up really spending a lot of money. I do want to caveat with the fact that this can be category specific. So if you're in the protein category and Q1, January, New Year, New You is a big time for you, you may want to continue that velocity and momentum going into that time frame. So webinars are always tough because you're speaking about generalities, and these are always very specific to your category and what your goals are. Hybrid strategies. So a lot of brands have started employing hybrid strategies where they have both a seller and a vendor central account. There are many reasons to do this. One is Amazon has a hard time keeping you in stock, so you have a backup offer in Seller Central. or you have unique items that are brand new items and Amazon has a hard time ordering them initially. So to get early momentum, you have these products in Seller Central. So this is what is a hybrid account. You have kind of both 1P and 3P. And when this is the case, it is like you are two different brands and you will bid yourself up. So if you're bidding on the word Coffee Pods in Vendor Central and Coffee Pods in Seller Central, it's essentially you'll be bidding yourself up. We have ways to mitigate these strategies using rules, but this is something to be cognizant of. And with Amazon, one thing is constant, and that is constant change. It's very questionable if hybrid strategies will be enabled going forward. There are a lot of brands that got notification just this week that they will not be able to use Seller Central. So, that is one thing to always just keep in mind, is not hanging your hat on one different strategy and then having ways to mitigate them. Brand stores, we talked about. This is a really cool new functionality, and I thought this was a really neat example to show you from Easter of what Minecraft did. So you're able to create subpages within your brand store and drive sponsored brand ads specifically to that subpage. So for example, here, Minecraft was bidding on the term Easter basket, and you're able to have 50 characters of text in your sponsored brand ad headline. So they said, build your Minecraft Easter basket, and sent them to a curated selection of products. So that is something to consider for holiday, that you can curate a selection of stocking stuffers or deals and send seasonal information or seasonal headlines to them. There's a caveat, and we'll talk about it in a second, that Amazon does suppress some time-sensitive headlines. So, and that is something just to know. And if you're getting 0 impressions, that could be the case as to why. Daypart bidding and bid boosting. Again, this is something that is a feature that we're able to do leveraging the API, and especially during the holiday season, especially if you have limited budget. It's nice to be able to, there's a lot of bid density in the morning of all the holiday timeframe. And so if you have limited budget, you can come in programmatically after all the bid density has kind of died down and people's campaigns have run out of budget. You can come back in later when there's more efficiency for you. So we have the ability to increase budget by day, increase budget by hour. If you have access to real-time sales in ARA Premium, we can determine what your historical time of day that is more prevalent for sales conversions, and you can align your bid strategies and budget that way as well. So as I was mentioning, some keywords Amazon does suppress, like bidding on their private label, like especially if you have a coupon 20% off. They don't like the fact that there's no kind of policing of the ability to say that your coupon has run out of budget, and no kind of programmatic trigger to also take down your ad, specifically around sponsor brand ads. I had asked Amazon for a list of these keywords that would be suppressed, and they're always updating this list, and they didn't have it available yet. So my biggest recommendation is, if there's a question, you should contact your AMG AE or Amazon to ask them if it's going to be something that's suppressed, because you don't want to be wasting a bunch of your time on these keywords that you think might be important, but Amazon will be suppressing them anyway. So wrapping up just this section, a few don'ts. So a lot of people will be running lightning deals. Those are a couple hour deals. It's best to not promote these products within paid search. The timing is just really difficult to meet, especially these lightning deals can be running at midnight. We kind of talked about holiday keyword stuffing, your evergreen campaigns. So make sure that they're relevant keywords to your campaigns. And then also keep in mind that Q4 is a marathon, not a sprint. So you don't want to overspend during the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Amazon has some features like Bid Plus, which enables you to spend up to 50% more of your budget to get top of placement. But there also aren't great, if you're using the UI, bid pacing reporting that you can get. So it's easy to kind of overspend. All right. What else can we learn? So we talked a lot about using the Amazon traffic drivers. It's really important as there are more and more deals, 10,000 deals, and the deals kind of get buried. It used to be that you could have a coupon and people would find it, but with so many products on Amazon, that's just not the case anymore. So a lot of brands have external traffic drivers driving into Amazon. So right now, hopefully you're thinking about if you can do Twitter posts, if you could do Facebook posts, if you could do Google search. A lot of people are starting to use Slick Deals, which is an affiliate site to help drive traffic to their products, but really making sure that your plan doesn't just include Amazon traffic drivers, but also a lot of external traffic drivers as well. And wrapping it up, so here we are in October, so just a little bit of a timeline of thinking about what to do. So finalize your plans and start implementing them. Make sure that you're optimizing around your best performing keywords and moving them from these different match types of broad, phrase, and exact. Ensuring that you're retail ready, which I think the channel site guys are going to talk about that next, and setting your KPIs and measurable goals. In November, making sure that you're taking these early learnings from October, starting to ramp up your campaigns, continuing to monitor your KPIs. And the other thing too, I know that your bosses are doing this and it's probably the bane of your existence, but making sure you're shopping the site. So knowing what your must-win keywords are and seeing if you're winning against those. And then in December, make sure that you're understanding what your post-holiday bid strategy is. So if you want to keep the momentum going into January, if that's important to you, or if you're making sure to lower those bids. And that, whoops.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so my little Game of Thrones meme. So for Q4, Q4 is coming. Please contact us if you're interested in audit or trial of our tools to help you. Info, or you can contact me, Melissa, at packview.com. And that's it.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. We're now going to pass the program on to, now you know how to drive all that traffic to your product detail pages, how to maximize conversion. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute John and pass the mouse control. And while I do that, just a reminder that we do have a survey once you exit the webinar. So certainly feel free to participate in that survey. Let us know about the content, or you could use that as an avenue to request more information on one of our brands. And great, John, over to you.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks, Melissa. That was really interesting. I think there was some great insights on that, and I hope to build on some of that content. So my name is John Beckett, as Paul said, and I'm delighted to be here and partnering with Melissa and the Essential family of brands for this webinar today. What I'll do is I'll give a brief intro into ChannelSight initially. So what we do is we work with brands to help them drive measurable incremental revenue from the digital content that they're pushing out across all channels. So that could be anything from social media to video, website product pages, ads, etc. We do that by adding a buy now call to action, or enabling the brand or their agency to add a buy now call to action to that content, so that when a user is engaging with that content and develops a buying intent for the product that they're looking at, they can see a clear frictionless path to move through to a retailer that has that product in stock, and they can complete that purchase instantly. And what that does is it drives a very high incremental conversion rate, but it also generates really interesting insights with retailers in all over the world, about 62 markets, to capture data from those retailers about what users are doing in the channel. So I don't know if we have slides. Paul, do we have slides? Do we have control on this? I'll just show a couple of...
Should have control.
I don't know if I can,
if you just want
to click on this, is it? Yeah, so I think we're not able to move the slides on. So yeah, that's the next slide anyway. So I might have to ask you, Paul, to click when we're ready to go forward. But basically, to go back to what I was saying there, what we're looking at is taking, capturing that, the active users, the engaged users, capturing that buying intent, connecting that through to a relevant retailer that's in that market for that product, and that's relevant to that individual, and measuring what's happening in the channel, what that user is actually doing, what they're buying, even if that isn't the brand product, and then feeding that back in the form of data and optimization reports to the brand so that they can invest more wisely and gain a better ROI from future activity, and that kind of virtuous circle then should continue. So that's a bit of a channel site. So now to look at Amazon product detail best practices. So you might move on again there. Thanks. Melissa has really given us great advice, and what I'm going to do now is strip that back and look at the absolute basics first of all. So Melissa's tactics there, they're brilliant. They're smart and they work, and all brands should be following those guidelines, especially during Q4. But you have to get the basics right first as well. So I'm talking about the fundamental building blocks of product detail pages. Time and money that you're spending on advertising is going to be wasted if your product detail pages aren't right. And basic common sense is one of the things that we see that is often lacking in e-commerce. And things can certainly be overcomplimented, but the fundamentals are essential when looking at retail strategy. So if your brand is new to selling online, and I'm cognizant that there are a variety of brand types and levels of experience on the call today, but getting back and just confirming that you have those basics right, that those fundamental building blocks that you would apply in any brick and mortar store are applied appropriately online, and that you then build from there. So if we go to the next slide, there, people, if you approach your product detail pages like a brick and mortar or physical store, and aim to create that offline world online. So in a brick and mortar store, you're going to look at needing to be competitively priced, needing to have your shelves stocked, having products well displayed and merchandised, and building that trust with the consumer. Without those basics, you're not even at the starting line. So what's the point? When you're looking at advertising your store, what's the point of even doing that? And what's the point in generating that interest and driving those users if you're overpriced, you're out of stock, your shelves are a mess, etc. So online, that your product detail page is right before you spend that time and money pushing consumers onto them. It sounds very obvious, but it's amazing how often we see that not being done. So if we go to the next slide, these are the 4 basics of product detail pages. So firstly, price point. The right pricing strategy is critical so that you don't price your product too high or too low. Is the product in stock? Stating the obvious, if a customer can't buy it, you're not really going to sell very much of it. So ensure your logistics are on point. If you can't get that to the user, if you can't get the product to a user, it's going to have an impact on conversions, especially in Q4. The demand is increased. We've seen best in class companies. Amazon has struggled with logistics in the past and continues to be a challenge for them. So if it's a challenge for Amazon, it is a reasonable challenge for everybody. Do not underestimate it, and ensure that you have the appropriate plans in place in plenty of time. Looking at content, is the right content there to inform the consumer and drive those conversions? So if you consider your product detail page and your online shelf, if it's messy and confusing and lacking good information, nobody's going to buy anything. So you need to ensure the essential product information is clear, with strong imagery, and with multiple shots of the product if possible. So consumers obviously can't pick up the product and look at it online. So provide the next best thing by using that rich imagery, by ideally adding video or ability to link to video if possible. So the better and the richer content, the higher your conversion rates will be. So once you get those basics right, you can get even more creative and look to drive more conversions later on. And so that brings me on then to the final point on that, the conversion influencers. So in a physical store, you have the staff that can help, that can answer questions. You see other customers buying the products, which inspires that trust and confidence. On Amazon, the equivalent on a product detail page is the enriched data that's user generated. So the question and answer sessions, the rating or section, the ratings and reviews, and other user generated content. And that's the social proof that builds that consumer trust and confidence and has the most impact on conversions. So lock users in and drive those conversions by answering public questions and encouraging and incentivizing reviews and other user-generated content if you can. If we just go to the next slide there, I've got an example of, this is Mentos, and they're Perfetti Van Mel, they're a valued brand client of Channelside. And you can see that they're an example here of them really doing everything right. So there's a strong selection of images, all of the essential product information is there, and there's loads of ratings and reviews. So certainly feel free to have a look at that yourself. So, but those 4 product detail page basics are, the price, the stock, the content, and the conversion influencers. If you get them right and conversions aren't happening, go through and see where you need to focus. What have you missed? Because the chances are it's going to be one of those needs some focus. And the channel side solution, if we go forward another slide there, this is an example of just a screenshot from our reporting portal, and this shows just a one shot on pricing and price point reporting. So, if you look at an insights report from our reporting portal, it shows the price points where different customers are making sales on Amazon. So if you're targeting sales within a particular bracket, this report shows you if you're hitting your target. And if you're not, you can investigate why and fix that problem. So next slide there, please. What happens if you're still not converting? So you've done all that, you've checked it, everything, the 4 basics are absolutely right, you're still not converting. So price, stock, content, conversion influencers, they're all in place, but you're not getting the conversions. How can you dig deeper? So consumer distraction is a key challenge that we see, and perhaps never more so really than in Q4, the busiest time of the year with all the extra online noise. There's many types of distraction along the digital path to purchase. So your product needs to run the gauntlet to make it into the basket and make it past all of those. Looking at a simple example, in the real world, in the physical store, if a consumer is in the supermarket to buy a particular brand of chocolate, they reach the checkout, they see another brand on special offer, and they buy that instead. The same thing happens on Amazon all the time. A consumer lands on the site full of a purchasing intent for a particular product, for your product, only to be presented with a competitor's sponsored ad, and you lose the sale. So you spent all of the money, the time, the investment in building your brand and building the users' and the users' willingness to go and consider your purchase, building that buying intent, getting them onto Amazon, and then you're losing out just at the last minute. So how do you tackle that where your competitors are sponsoring product ads? The trick is really to sponsor your own products. So aim to brand lock your product detail page so competitors don't steal your customers away right at that point of conversion. And that's a very effective but relatively straightforward trick that you can use. So on the next slide, the key here is to really look to know if the consumer is being distracted at that final hurdle. How are you going to do that? You need data. And any data that gives visibility into that complete user journey from the source and the first brand interaction right through to the Amazon checkout is valuable. And brands that build on their ability to capture that data will have a higher conversion rate. So if we look at the next slide, I have another screenshot showing a report. So our Where to Buy technology delivers exactly that type of data in a simple, easy-to-use dashboard that gives you that visualization. So this is an example showing product-level insights, and this is really data gold. So these insights show you exactly what consumers are placing in their Amazon baskets. Is it complementary products? Is it brand products? Is it non-brand products? So why is that data so valuable, and what does it do? How does it influence the drive for you to improve conversion? Again, take the example of losing a conversion to a sponsored competitor product. Without data, you don't even know that that's happening. But this report gives you the visibility to say, okay, they didn't buy our batteries, for example, but they did buy a competitor's batteries instead. So why was that? And how can we prevent that happening in future? So some products, maybe that we're gaining insights like they need to be discounted earlier in the product life cycle, or our pricing versus our competitors for similar features is off. So this data is hugely powerful for building out and optimizing future e-commerce strategy to maximize your ROI on that. And there's really valuable data behind every click that allows you to understand that consumer behavior at a granular level. So leveraging that understanding to influence thousands of people that fit the same profile as those individual clicks, and then replicate whatever solution you develop to solve that drop off, is something that's really important. And as you heard Melissa say and recommend earlier on, the data and insights that you take from Q4 this year will be essential to ensuring a more successful season next year as well. So you can build on these learnings every year. And so it's essentially you're capturing relevant data, storing it, and then building on it. So on the next slide, I'd just like to make a wider point on the relationship between brands and Amazon. And I think this is really important because brands need to hardwire this into their strategies in this digital first age. Traditionally, the dynamic between brands and retailers has been challenging and sometimes even adversarial. But today, it is a partnership. So help Amazon to sell your brand, deliver them the right content, tell your brand story in partnership together. So if you make Amazon your friend rather than a foe, you will convert more. And brands really should take heed of that to look at the changing dynamic of that relationship. So to summarize on the next slide, when it comes to conversion optimization on your Amazon product detail page, it's critical to get the basics right. Then build it out layer by layer, collecting and analyzing as much data as possible and using that to optimize your Amazon strategy. Once you have the basics right and are capturing that data to give you that better understanding of consumer behavior, you can get more creative with the content and start driving larger volumes of traffic to the product detail pages using the kind of tactics that Melissa discussed. So remember, if you can't crawl, you're not going to be able to run, and you're not going to be able to walk, and certainly not going to be able to run. So I'll wrap it up there, and thank you very much for your time and for joining us. I'll pass back over to Paul now. If you have any questions about Channel Site or how we can help your brand on Amazon or in any other way, please feel free to contact me. My email is on the slide there. So thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, John. And thank you, Melissa. Wonderful content today and really action-packed. So we've now reached the Q&A portion of the program. As I mentioned earlier, all participants are on mute for this call, but you can ask questions in the Q&A box. The first one I could actually answer. All participants will be receiving a copy of today's webinar deck as well as the recording. Those are usually available within 2 business days of the webinar, so be on the lookout for that. Great. Well, this first question is for Melissa. Melissa, how should you think about KPIs during during the holiday Q4 shopping season?
Yeah, KPIs are always an interesting question. I think brands are more and more adjusting their strategies as they're learning. But, Q4 is obviously a very competitive time frame. CPCs are going up. That means that people have to be willing to have less ROI during this time frame and kind of make that sacrifice of, driving volume, driving traffic and sales, trading that for kind of high ACOS or low ACOS, good returns. It's a trade-off. A lot more brands are looking to be net even, maybe even going negative, depending on their willingness to look for longer-term sales and to keep a high share of voice on that page one. So it's definitely what is definitely required is the ability to be flexible and to be willing to sacrifice that trade-off and to know that you're not going to have amazing returns during this time frame if you want to try to win top of search.
Great, thanks. And John, this one's for you. You'd mentioned that once you get the basics of the product detail page right, you can get more creative with content. So can you discuss getting more creative with content in a little more detail, please?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's many ways you can go beyond the basics to deliver the consumer a more immersive online shopping experience. And you can get super creative with Amazon Premium, the Premium A Plus content, where you have high resolution imagery and video, and you can really help bring the products to life with that. I suppose the one call out there really needs to be that you need to ensure that the creative that you're using fits the product. Is high quality video right for you, and for your brand, for your product? Is an unboxing video the right fit? Can you use that to be smart with your content? Perhaps you can leverage advertising material that you've used elsewhere, and you can take video from a campaign and pull it all the way through.
Frame if you want to try to win top of search.
Great, thanks. And John, this one's for you. You'd mentioned that once you get the basics of the product detail page right, you can get more creative with content. So can you discuss getting more creative with content in a little more detail, please?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's many ways you can go beyond the basics to deliver the consumer a more immersive online shopping experience. And you can get super creative with Amazon Premium, the Premium A Plus content, where you have high resolution imagery and video, and you can really help bring the products to life with that. I suppose the one call out there really needs to be that you need to ensure that the creative that you're using fits.
Capitalize on more eyeballs getting to your pages.
Well, the easy answer is to spend more money, but that's not the answer that you should do. But really, it's just being really effective with your budget, and knowing what your must-win keywords are. So, one of the recommendations that we have is shop the site, which your bosses are, so they're going to be asking you questions anyway. So knowing what those must-win keywords are, having high share of voice on those keywords and seeing how much that's costing you. If your budget, doesn't work for that, then there's also long tail keyword strategy that you can employ so that you are winning where you can. So driving traffic is really critical. Using paid search is one strategy, but then there's also employing these other strategies like Slick Deals. Could be a cheaper, alternative, to drive external traffic into Amazon as well.
Great, and it looks like we have time for one more, and keep it equitable. John, this looks like a good one for you. You mentioned how important convergent influencers like customer reviews are for driving sales on Amazon. But what if my product doesn't have any reviews? Are there ways to encourage more of them, or some of them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the best way to do that is to earn them, and to do that by meeting and exceeding the expectations of your customers. So, if you are achieving that, but you're still not getting reviews, asking for them. It's fairly straightforward. Ask for ratings and reviews. Send customized messages through the Seller Central buyer messaging system, requesting a review. Don't be pushy. Don't ask for positive reviews. Ask for honest reviews. That will help you continue to deliver the best product and service that you can, and which will help other consumers make informed choices. You're much more likely to get positive engagement from your customers if you do that. You can also participate in the Amazon Vine, the program that invites the most trusted reviewers on Amazon to post reviews to help other customers to make informed purchases. But again, this is not rocket science. It's a case of doing it as much as you can right, then asking for reviews that are honest, and then building on that. One other point I might make there, just Paul, is in relation to negative reviews, which often cause a challenge for a number of people. And negative reviews are inevitable. Don't ignore them. People will find it more trustworthy that you have some negative reviews. If every review is 5 stars, that is not necessarily credible. So don't ignore them, even if you think that it's rude or untrue, or that it's not an accurate reflection of what actually happened. Respond to the person, apologize, empathize with them, offer a solution. Always bear in mind your brand identity, and never engage in kind of an argument or get into any hostilities. It's always a good idea maybe to provide a link or an email address where they can contact you privately. And bear in mind that once you've remedied the situation, they may not go back and change your review. But by accepting that these reviews are inevitable, it's definitely the best way to go, and then work to ensure that customers, prospective customers, future customers, see that you make a concerted effort when something does go wrong to make it right, and that again will ultimately reinforce and build further on your credibility and that confidence.
Perfect. Thanks, John, and thank you, Melissa. So that'll wrap up our programming for today. A couple of quick housekeeping notes before we say goodbye. There will be a survey which will appear as you exit the webinar. Please do take time. Let us know what you thought of today's content. And you can also use that as an avenue to request more information on the Essential E-commerce family of brands, the Clavis Insight, Brand View, One Click Retail, and Planet Retail R&G brands, as well as our Friends Channel site and PackView. As a special thank you, you will receive a complimentary copy of our Clavis and One Click Retail's most recent white paper, Turning Amazon Traffic into Amazon Sales. We do have a few US-based events coming up, so certainly if you are at tomorrow's Online and Digital Grocery Summit in Chicago, come visit the Clavis booth, the Essential E-commerce family of brands booth. We'll be there along with our friends at Brand View, and I believe PackView will be there as well. And both the Essential E-commerce family of brands and PackView will also be at Grocery Shop later in the month. You can certainly find more information on both of our booth locations by visiting our website, or certainly by requesting more information on our brands during the post-webinar survey. Again, thank you once again. Thank you to Melissa and John for the wonderful content, and for everyone who joined us today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a very successful Q4. Thank you and goodbye.